The images of looting and destruction streaming on our news channel for days now have been shocking and scary. If the reality was not alarming enough, fake news is also stoking the fear and anxiety. Sometimes wrong information is passed on unknowingly due to a genuine desire to warn others about potential danger. But a lot of fake news is created and circulated to just create more mayhem and more panic. How do we spot the difference in these unprecedented times? And I'm joined now by Kate Wilkinson, Deputy Chief Editor at Africa Check. Kate, thank you so much for joining us. Before we get into some really brilliant specific examples that you sent us, I want to ask you, a lot of us share fake news because we're a little unwitting and we're a little too eager to pass it on without fact-checking. But some people do it deliberately. Why would they do that deliberately, particularly at a time like this when South Africa is burning?
So I think in that instance where people are deliberately sharing false information with the intention to mislead, we have a name for it, it's disinformation. There can be a number of reasons. There are certainly people who have political motives, agendas, who would want to stir, incite unrest, would like to see certain areas destabilized, would like to see police forces going into certain communities. But in other times, we also see that some people just share false information because they like their tweets or their Facebook posts to go viral. They like the attention, they like the followers. So we see a variety of motives, but at the end of the day, the result is often the same. People are misled, fear is spread, and we can make decisions or take actions which aren't evidence-based.
Some of the common things we see are people posting videos or photographs saying, look, the army's coming in, and it's actually a photograph or a video from a military maneuver done 3 years ago, and people are pretending that it's actually a sign that something's happening now. How do you date video and other images to make sure that those images are current? Like the one on air now, for example.
There are a lot of skills, and they go all the way from really basic to quite complicated. But the good news is that ordinary members of the public, people who are watching now, can actually take some very simple steps. The most simple thing that you can do when you see either a picture or a video being shared online and you want to verify it is just broadly search on Google for the terms in the video. We've seen recent videos shared online that we've debunked of supposed protesters in South Africa who have been hit with water cannons. If you start searching for that on Google and you see news reports of it, you might see pictures that either match or dispute what you're seeing. That is a first step that you can take. From there, if you visit our website, we have an increasing sort of sophistication of things you can do. The next thing is a Google reverse image search, which is also quite simple. And from there, you can work on doing some video verification skills. So depending on your skill set, there are a lot of things you can do, but you can also try and learn to do these things so that you can play an active role in your WhatsApp groups and on Facebook to be the fact checker that your friends and family need.
The other thing that has been doing the rounds for quite a while are these voice notes that get shared on WhatsApp groups. Mostly they are anonymous and they sound very authoritative, and they're basically telling you of all sorts of doom and mayhem. And and the difficulty is right now there is a lot of mayhem around, so it might actually be valid. So talk to me about how you can spot a voice note that is trying to warn legitimately and one that is actually completely fake.
So today we actually fact-checked and debunked one which got tens and thousands of views just in one tweet alone, so we can hardly imagine how far this traveled on WhatsApp, on Facebook. And what it claimed was that the police had told armed citizens, members of the public, that they were allowed to shoot to kill when it came to looters and protesters. And you can see here in this example how deadly and dangerous a piece of false information could be. But like you pointed out, the person on this voice note, it was a woman, didn't identify herself, didn't say where she was from, didn't give any indication that she was a credible or authoritative source. And that's your first indication. If you do not know the person that is giving you important, serious, critical information, that should be a huge red flag. You probably shouldn't trust it, and you definitely shouldn't share it. The next step to verify it is, again, very simple. If the police were telling people that they can take on and shoot protesters, it would be somewhere on their official communication. There would have been a statement. It would be a press release. If you can't find those things simply and quickly online, this is not good, trustworthy information, and you're doing your friends, your community, and your family a disservice, and your country a disservice by sharing this false information that could actually lead to the loss of life.
And another great example is about how video footage doesn't always tell the story. And you talk about this fake news of looting police, that they were actually taking, this is from, I think it was on 12th of July, actually. It got huge amounts of views. People saying, absolutely disgraceful. Look at the cops. They're taking all the loot. Meanwhile, they were confiscating it. Tell us about that and the lessons that we must learn from this.
So in that video, like you described, it's someone filming the police from a vantage point, looking down, and you see a number of police officers moving packages towards a police van and putting bags and baskets into the police van. And the message shared with this video is that the police are taking part in the looting. When we looked into this video and we traced it and found that it was actually members of police in eThekwini in Durban, we found that the municipality had released a statement saying that they had noted concerns by the public about this video, and they had done a preliminary investigation and found that in that instance, those police were confiscating the goods because they had been looted, and they were taking them to the police station to be logged and registered. There will be many South Africans who will roll their eyes at this and think, no, definitely, they're definitely stealing the goods. But you have to ask yourself, how can you know that from that video? How can you tell the difference between cops confiscating goods and looting them? And the answer is that you can't. So you can't trust your often instinctual feeling and your gut instinct, because that is influenced by your bias and by how you perceive the world. You need hard evidence. You need to do the hard work of finding out what is true and false, because reacting on that gut instinct doesn't help us understand and doesn't help the police and the greater communities respond properly to these problems.
And it's such an important message, Kate, at this time, because rumours fly very quickly, and it's not necessarily confirmed, it's feared, and then suddenly it becomes fact, a classic case of broken telephone. So also we've got to bear that in mind as well. Some really great tips there, and such an important time for us all to keep cool heads, not to panic, and only share information that we know for sure has been properly verified. Thank you so much, Kate Wilkinson from Africa Check. Stay